From a tear in real space, a cabal of drukari raiders have emerged. Hunting Imperial citizens, they dragged their prey to the horrific city of Commorragh. Fighting back against the savage butchers, a strike force of Black Templar intercessors descend to the ruined city to do battle. Now the two forces prepare for a conflict unlike any seen before. Will the drukari slavers be able to annihilate the Black Templars, or will the Angels of Death purge the foul xenos from beyond the stars?
Hi there everybody, Nate here, and welcome to today's Battle Report. So today we're going to be seeing Intercession versus Hand of the Archon. I'm going to be playing Intercession today, and for the game, I'm bringing my Black Templars. Leading my kill team is an Assault Intercessor Sergeant, who is wielding a Power Sword and a Hand Flamer, and following him into battle is an Assault Intercessor Grenadier, an Intercessor Gunner with Bolt Rifle, and 3 Intercessor Warriors with Bolt Rifles. When it comes to my team's equipment, I gave my Gunner an Auspex Scanner, I gave 2 Warriors Vengeance Class Scopes, and one of them a Combat Blade.
Hey everybody, Brett here. I'm going to be fielding Hand of the Archon versus Nate's Intercession. So I'm going to be going with the standard list here. There's not really many options for Hand of the Archon. The only thing I need to mention is my Gunner is going to be taking the Blaster, evidently the one that does not blast, the one with AP2. And then my Heavy Gunner is going to have the Dark Lance, also the one with AP2. And then my leader, the Archsiberite, will have the Splinter Pistol and an Agonizer. So as far as equipment goes, my Agent is going to have the Plasma Grenade, my Flayer will have the Toxin Coating to give him Lethal 5 in combat, and the Phantasm Grenade Launcher. The Crimson Duelist is going to have the Kabalite Banner, and then I'm going to give my Gunner the Omen from the Sky Splinter Assassin, and then my Elixicant is going to give my team a 6-up Feel No Pain. So in today's game, Nate and I are going to be playing Capture on the center mission layout from the Critical Ops pack. As far as barricade placement, Nate places both his barricades on these outside points, and I pretty much just copy him because I didn't feel like I really needed them anywhere else.
So, moving into the setup step, I'm going to begin by placing down a Warrior and another Warrior equipped with a Vengeance Class Scope and a Combat Blade, both of which are in Conceal.
My first group is going to consist of my Agent with the Plasma Grenade, my Disciple of Yelindra, and my Archsiberite. And all of them are going to be on a Conceal order.
For my next group, I placed down an Assault Grenadier, and then my Gunner, equipped with an Auspex and a Combat Blade. The Gunner is in Engage, and my Grenadier is in Conceal.
As for my second group, I'm going to have the Crimson Duelist with his Kabalite Banner next to the Agent, the Elixicant next to the Crimson Duelist, and the Flayer with his Toxin Coating and Phantasm Grenade Launcher, and all of these guys are also going to be on a Conceal order.
And for my last group, I placed down my Sergeant, as well as a Warrior, equipped with a Vengeance Class Scope, both of which are in Conceal.
As for my last group, I consider placing my Gunner here for a little while, and then I realized he might be able to get shot from some angle. So I choose to move him over by my Elixicant in this other group. And then I put my Heavy Gunner and the Sky Splinter Assassin on the opposite side of the board. And at first I thought about placing them in this fashion, and then I decided to switch them around for maybe a little bit of a different play. And all of these guys are going to be on Conceal orders. Now that the setup operative phase is done, Nate and I go into scouting, and we both end up taking the change order. As the attacker, I win the tie, so it's going to be my initiative in the first turning point. All right, going into turning point 1, Hand of the Archon. I love this team. I think I don't have a ton of experience with them into elites, but I have like a theory on what I want to do. As far as tac ops go, I took very aggressive ones, so it might be the wrong call, but I think it gives me, it forces Nate to pick a target, because I'm taking assassinate targets. He's going to have to pick one of his guys, and he knows that if I kill it at any point, I get 2 VP. So hopefully he'll either play with that guy farther back, or I'll just be able to get the kill, take model off the board, get 2 VP, awesome. Same with Headhunter, right? So hopefully he doesn't stack it onto his leader. If he sees that coming, he might, and then the leader's gonna be worth a lot. He might just not let me get shot. My other tac op is my faction tac op, Contemptuous Slaughter. It's an interesting one to take in this situation. I need to essentially have a turning point where I get a kill, and he does not. So that's probably either gonna happen, and if it does, in the first turning point, or maybe the last, if it's going well. So hopefully it's going well, and I can score 2 on that. That'd be the dream. Otherwise, there's just not a lot of great faction tac ops for me right now. So the goal for turning point 1 is pretty much just to move up, get into a good spot for the next turning point, and if I can, I'll use my switch order to maybe get maybe, I don't know, some strong gunner shot or something off. And if it just fails miserably, I'll just throw CP at it, because I have ways to get CP, so I'm not too worried about it. Also playing capture helps a little bit with this team. So it's gonna be, I think, a tough match, but I'm excited to see how this goes versus Intercession.
Okay, so moving into turning point 1, I'm very excited for this game. Brett and I have played this a few times on Tabletop Simulator, but this is our first time actually sitting down to play this, and I'm very excited. It's going to be a rough one. Hands of the Archon have so many little tricks, similar to Phobos, where there's just so many things they can do, it's hard to memorize. So I'm going to have to be very careful. I'm going to have to move. I'm going to have to be very smart with it. Specifically, what I want to do turning point 1 is I want to get at least 1 kill. 1 kill is all I want, and not to lose a single operative. If I can manage that, I think I'd set myself up very well for this game, because he only has 9 operatives on the board. If I can just whittle him down, that's my plan. So I'm hoping I can get 1 kill on Brett and just receive minimal damage this first turn point. And even if I don't get 1 kill, as long as my guys are all alive by the end of this turning point, I'll be very happy. So looking forward to that. The board, I think, is going to play into my strengths pretty well. There's a lot of heavy, so I can kind of set up some non-reciprocal shots. And it will allow me to work up the board with my assault intercessors to hopefully get into some devastating melee. But that's the plan. We'll see how it goes.
Going into turning point 1, I am going to pass, which, because of my Archsiberite's ability, I'm going to gain a CP, putting me up to 5. Nate is going to use Devastator Doctrine to give himself rerolls when he's shooting outside of 6 inches. And then I am going to use Fleet of Foot to give my guys a free dash after a normal move, or vice versa. And then I'm also going to use Denizens of Night to essentially give my guys a super conceal, as long as they are within 3 inches of my drop zone.
Brett and I both pick Assassinate Target. I select one of my warriors, and Brett selects his gunner.
Alright, get ready for a whole lot of moving. First up's going to be my Archsiberite, moving up onto this point.
For my first activation, I select one of my warriors and move him up onto the point in front of him.
My next activation is going to be my Sky Splinter Assassin, move dashing up onto this far point.
For my next activation, I select my Assault Grenadier and move dash him up onto the point in front of him as well.
Next up, another exciting activation, Flare, moving up next to the Sky Splinter Assassin.
I then select another one of my warriors and move dash him onto another point in front of him.
Next up, my Elixicant's gonna move dash over onto this point in the back line.
Switching things up a little bit, I select my gunner and move dash him up onto the point, but this time, I switch his order from engage to conceal. Ooh, I know, right?
Alright, finally the time for the dice to hit the table. So my Disciple of Yelindra is gonna move dash up to the corner of this building, and then she's gonna chuck her Torment Grenade within range of both of these intercessors. So on the gunner, this is going to be poisoning him on a 3. I roll a 4, I do get it. And then on the second intercessor, this is going to be poisoning him on a 4 because I am not visible to him. And amazingly, I do get the 4. Both of these intercessors are going to be poisoned until the end of the game.
Next up is my sergeant, who I move up right behind my grenadier.
Alright, there's absolutely no way I can get shot for the rest of this turning point, so to prepare for the next turning point, my Dark Lance is going to move dash up onto this vantage point and just make himself a big threat for the start of the next turning point.
And last but not least, I select my final warrior and move dash him back behind a cargo container. Absolutely thrilling first turning point, right?
Okay, so the rest of the turning point is mine for my final 3 activations. So first up, my Crimson Duelist with the Kabalite banner is going to move dash onto the edge of the point, and then my agent is going to follow him, and he is going to switch orders, and he's going to chuck his plasma grenade into the Assault Grenadier in the front here, blasting into Nate's Sergeant. So the plasma grenade is 4s on 3s, 3-4 damage. I get a really good roll here, all 4 hits. Nate's going to take 1 for cover, and then he's going to roll, and he's going to save 2 more. This is going to do a whopping 3 damage to his Grenadier. Now into his Sergeant, who does not get cover. I only roll a crit and a hit here. I do decide to spend a CP to try to get a little bit more damage in here, and I do end up getting another hit. Now Nate rolls, he does save all 3 again, meaning he's going to save the crit and a regular hit, and he's going to take 3 damage on his Sergeant as well. Finally, my last activation is just going to be my Gunner, who is just going to move over a little bit and kind of prepare himself for the next turning point, hopefully to get a better shot. And at the end of the first turning point is going to be me 4 primaries to Nate's 2. No secondaries were scored in this turning point. And for the initiative roll for turning point 2, Nate rolls a 4, I roll a 1. It's going to be Nate's initiative for the second turning point.
At the end of turning point 1, both teams are sitting pretty healthy still. Intercession with 2 primary VPs to Head of the Archon's 4. Neither of the teams scoring any secondaries or losing models. Intercession remaining with 4 CP to Archon's 3, meaning we have a 2-4 split.
Okay, so moving into turning point 2. Turning point 1 went alright. None of my guys died, which is important. A few of them got hurt, but it's kind of chip damage. It's not going to be huge. Denizens of the Night is not something I even knew about or forgot about. Either way, it really was a huge roadblock. I was really hoping to get at least 1. I'm glad I got initiative. It means that his heavy gunner is going to die. Hopefully. But it didn't go exactly as planned. I still think that it can be salvaged. I have some really good charge opportunities, especially on the right-hand side of the board with both my Grenadier and my Sergeant. We'll see how things play out. It's going to be a little hit or miss. What really sucks is the fact that Brett got 4 primaries and I got 2. I need to change that immediately. I got to switch things right back around. I think I should be able to tie it up. Maybe, we'll see, but that's my plan moving forward. Tie up the points, get a few kills, work towards my tack ups. We'll see how things go. But that's the plan.
All right, turning point 1 I think was relatively successful. I think Contemptuous Slaughter is probably not going to happen now, unless maybe it happens in like the last turning point, or I somehow just get like a really good one. There's absolutely no way it happens here, because I'm almost guaranteed to lose at least 1 guy at the beginning of the turning point, which is to be expected. You know, going against an elite team, they get the initiative second turning point. Gonna happen. But I got some pretty good scatter damage, like around the board. Like, got 4 guys who've taken some wounds now. 2 of them were injured from the Torment Grenade. Overall, I feel pretty good. I feel like I have some threats and some good spots that are going to make him think about what he wants to do next. But for the most part, they're pretty reactive. So I have to kind of see what he does and then just go off of that. So I don't have a huge game plan other than using my ploy from Darkness Death to get turn some normal hits into crits. Just help get the damage out. He can obviously reduce stuff with durable, but depending on what it is, it might not really matter. So hopefully I can take out a couple guys here and maybe maintain my 4-2 split on the primaries and just slowly keep, just making a gap in the primary score. So feel pretty good, and hopefully it stays that way next time you see me.
Into turning point 2, Nate is going to use the Devastator Doctrine once again to get rerolls when he's outside of 6 inches. and then I am going to spend a CP on From Darkness Death to allow me to retain a normal hit as a crit, as long as Nate's guy doesn't have line of sight on whoever I'm activating. The only attack op to be revealed is Nate's Shock and Awe. At the end of the turning point, he needs to control a objective marker that I currently control.
Kicking off turning point 2, I start by selecting my gunner and switching him from a conceal to an engage order. I then fire a crack grenade at Brett's Dark Lance. Because of the Torment Grenade, he is technically injured, so force on force with AP1, I get 2 hits and 2 misses. Brett is only able to save one of the dice, so he takes 4 damage. And he is unable to save anything on a 6-up Feel No Pain, so all 4 damage go through. Because I wasn't able to kill him with the crack grenade, I decided to shoot him again. Still injured, this is 4s on 4s P1. I roll a crit and a hit, and I'm able to reroll one of my misses into another hit. Brett saves 1 dice. Takes 7 damage, and yet again saves nothing with his Feel No Pains. Having killed his Dark Lance, I then move him back behind the cargo container.
Alright, so losing my Dark Lance kind of sucks, but I expected to lose something right away, so of all things, not so bad. We're going to try to get a little bit more work in here with the Disciple of Yelindra. I'm going to move her over into a spot where I can throw my Torment Grenade between 2 more of Nate's Intercessors. For the first Marine, the one closest to my Disciple, I'm looking for a 3-up in order to poison him. Unfortunately, I roll a 2 and don't get him, but that's okay, I've got another chance on the other one, who's also going to be on a 3. And of course, I roll a 1. So essentially, the Disciple has done nothing, and neither one of these Marines is going to be injured.
For my next activation, I activate my Assault Grenadier. I decide to throw a crack grenade at Brett's Crimson Duelist, and after rolling, I only retain 2 hits. Deciding that's not quite enough, I spend a CP to reroll, and I retain a crit save as well, so a crit and 2 hits. Brett takes 1 for cover and rolls a crit save, so only 1 of my damage dice go through. And after that, Brett rolls his 6-up Feel No Pains, saving 1 of them, so only 3 damage goes through in the end. Because I wasn't able to kill him with the grenade, I decide to charge up and fight him. Using my Chainsword, which is 5s on 3s, I roll 3 hits and 2 misses. With Brett's Duelist, he's rolling 4s on 2s, and he has the ability to double parry, and his weapon has Brutal. Brett rolls a crit in 3 hits, which forces me to spend a command point to reroll, which I use to get a crit. Using that crit, I hit Brett for 5 damage, which goes through, and he's unable to save any of it, so I straight out kill his operative.
Yeah, losing my Crimson Duelist like that definitely feels bad. If Nate wouldn't have rerolled for that crit, my Crimson Duelist definitely would have killed that Assault Intercessor, so that feels pretty bad. That being said, I'm still not going to use my Gunner, because I'm kind of hoping Nate's going to move his Sergeant first before I use him. So I'm just going to go with my Agent, who's just going to take a shot into this Assault Intercessor now. So my Agent Splinter Rifle is 4s on 3s with lethal 5, 2-4 damage. I get a really good roll here, getting a crit in 3 hits. Now I'm close enough that Nate doesn't get cover, but he's going to roll his defense dice, and he's going to save all 3 regulars, and then with his damage reduction from durable, this crit becomes 3 damage. Now my Agent's just going to perform a little tactical retreat and hide in this tactical nubbin back near my Elixicant.
Using one of my warriors, I move up and shoot Brett's Flare. Using his bolt rifle, he has 4s on 3s, P1, and I roll 2 crits and a hit, which I reroll into another crit. Brett rolls 2 dice, and unfortunately, he doesn't save either of them. Now, because Brett's Flare is special, he takes reduced damage, so I'm only ever doing 2-3 damage here, but he takes a total of 11. Which doesn't really matter, because on Brett's 6-up Feel No Pains, he's able to save 6 dice, leaving his Flare at 1. So, like all my other activations before, I decide to shoot him again. This time I score a crit and a hit, and Brett saves no defense dice. And he fails all of his 6-ups, so his Flare is dead.
Well, thanks a lot defense dice, there goes both of my dedicated melee operatives. Well, now I'm going to use my Elixicant while I can. I'm going to move him over within range of that same Assault Intercessor, and I'm going to shoot again. This time I can actually use the From Darkness Death ploy, as this Elixicant was not in the line of sight of the Grenadier when he activated, so I can retain a normal as a crit for this shooting attack. It's going to be the same profile as the agents, 4s on 3s with lethal 5. I get a terrible roll here. I only get 1 regular hit, which I am retaining as a crit for From Darkness Death. My pride won't let me have such a defeat though, so I try to spend a CP to get at least another hit, and I don't. And on Nate's defense saves, he saves 2 normals, and I do nothing.
Now activating another one of my warriors, I move him out of cover just a little bit, and I shoot Brett's Disciple. Shooting on injury because of the Torment Grenades, this is 4s on 4s P1, and I get a crit and a hit. And I reroll one of my dice into another hit. Brett saves the crit, and on his 6-ups he saves 2 more, so only 4 damage go through. So, as per usual, I shoot him again. Shooting again at Brett's Disciple, I get a crit and 2 hits. Now, I set aside a 3, but I forgot he's injured, so just pretend I took it out. Time for Brett to roll, and he's only able to save 1 normal hit, so 7 damage go through. And he's unable to save enough on a 6-up Feel No Pain, so the Disciple dies.
Okay, so we're another friendly down, and we haven't killed anything, so we're going to try to use something with a little bit more reliable shooting. Switching my Arc Sybarite from a Conceal Order 2 engage, we're going to shoot through the window at this Intercessor who has moved up. Now, From Darkness Death will apply here, so we're going to be 4s on 2s with lethal 5, retaining a normal as a crit. All things considered, this is a great roll. We end up getting 3 crits and 1 hit. For Nate's defense rolls, he saves 1 regular and 1 crit, so with his damage reduction from durable, it's going to be a total of 7 damage. Finally, I'm going to finish this activation up by charging my Arc Sybarite into that same Intercessor.
Moving on to my next warrior, he move dashes up onto the point, but is unable to do anything, so he just sits there and concealed.
My Sky Splinter Assassin's not going to allow that to happen peacefully. He is going to traverse over this barricade and shoot into that Intercessor. From Darkness Death is going to apply here. This is going to be 4s on 3s with Ceaseless and lethal 5 with Mortal Wounds 2. Of course, on the roll, I get 1 5, and I guess his favorite number is 2, because I end up with 3 2s, which I can't reroll or do anything with. Now, since I'm not getting any use out of From Darkness Death here, because I have no normals, I'm going to spend a CP to try to get one. I do manage to get it, so at the end this is going to be 2 crits, and it's going to put 4 mortal wounds through. Luckily for me, Nate apparently can't roll defense dice either, and he doesn't save either crit, so it's only 2 damage, but it is going to put a total of 8 wounds through on this Marine. I will take it.
Now, onto my Sergeant, I decide to charge and fight Brett's Elixicant. Throwing 5 dice and hitting on 2s with lethal 5 up on his power weapon, I get 2 crits and 3 hits. Brett rolls a crit and a hit, which I use my first crit to parry. Brett then does 3 damage to me, and then I hit him for a whole ton of damage there. Brett fails his 6-up Feel No Pains, and his Elixicant dies. Unable to fight or shoot anyone else, my Sergeant sits there on the point, patiently awaiting Turning Point 3.
Okay, so I really don't want his Sergeant to get to Turning Point 3. I'm going to try to use my Gunner to capitalize on Headhunter here. So I'm going to move up my Gunner within 2 inches to negate his cover. From Darkness Death is going to apply here as well. This is going to be 4s on 3s, 5-6 damage with AP2, and rerolling 1s because of the Omen. Starting off, I get 2 regular hits, and then I get to reroll this 1 into another 1. This is going to be 1 crit and 1 hit at AP2. Luckily for me, Nate actually does not save his only defense die here. He is going to, however, spend a CP to try and save 1, and he does roll a crit, meaning this is only going to do a total of 5 damage, not incapacitating his Sergeant, and unfortunately leaving my Gunner in a very vulnerable position for the next Turning Point. And we've now reached the end of Turning Point 2. Nate's going to have 4 primaries, and I will have 2. Nate is also going to have scored 1 of his secondary points from Shock and Awe. The initiative roll, I get a 4, Nate gets a 2. It's going to be my initiative in Turning Point 3.
Looking at the results for Turning Point 2, that 4-2 split has flipped, where Intercession now had scored 4 points up to 6. Our Hand of the Archon scored 2 points up to 6 as well. Intercession did score 1 secondary VP, and had not lost any models, while Hand of the Archon lost 5 models that turning point. Intercession with 2 CP to Hand of the Archon's 1, bringing the game even closer, 7-6.
Remember how I said the next time I see you guys, hopefully it was still going to be, going as well as it was at the end of the first? Well, it's not. It's going probably a complete 180. I lost more than half my team, didn't kill anything, and now I only have 2 objectives. So, the dice just have not been very good. They haven't been very kind to make these things happen. So moving forward, we don't have a plan. We don't. The plan is to attempt to kill things and get Totaka. It's to play the game the way anybody would. I'm going to try to get points. And I'm going to try not to get tabled. But there's 2 important sides, and probably going to lose something somewhere, so hopefully when you see me the next time, I'll be doing a little bit better, or we'll see. I've won. I am amazed. That turning point went better than I could have ever dreamed. I was expecting maybe 2-3 kills tops. But the way Brett rolled hurt my soul for him. I'm actually quite ecstatic about it. I feel like I'm in a fantastic position. I have a move for just about anything he could do right now. Granted, he doesn't have many moves himself. I'm feeling pretty good here. I think it's going to be a very quick rest of the game. I really do. We'll see how it goes, but fingers crossed this ends well.
Moving into turning point 3, Brett and I go and we play our ploys. Brett passes to gain another CP. This time I play Tactical Doctrine, so I can reroll within 6, and then Brett spends 1 CP to play Fleet of Foot. Moving to our tac ops now, I reveal Eliminate Guards. And I select Brett's Sky Splinter Assassin as my guard for this turning point.
Alright, first activation at turning point 3. Even though Nate revealed Eliminate Guards on the other side of the board, I feel a little bit more threatened by my gunner who's got 2 Assault Intercessors right in front of him. So I decide to shoot into the regular Intercessor first to try and take him off the board since he's got more health than the leader. So same thing as before, of course re-rolling 1s with the Omen, and this is AP2. I do get 2 hits right away, re-roll the 1, and I get a 3rd hit. Now this is going to be enough to take out this Intercessor, thankfully. Nate is going to roll here just for, for sake of it. He does save 1, but it is going to be enough to take out this Intercessor. I'll gain 2 pain tokens, the first pain tokens I've gotten this entire game, and then I'm just going to charge into the Sergeant for what it's worth.
For my first activation of turning point 3, I activate one of my warriors, and decide to shoot Brett's Sky Splinter Assassin. Shooting on injury, I am 4s on 4s, P1. I roll a crit and a hit, and I fail my reroll. Brett saves my normal hit, so only my crit goes through. And when it comes to a 6-ups, he's able to save 1, so he takes 3 damage, moving his Sky Splitter down to 5. Doing what intercessors do best, I decide to shoot him again. And this time I get a crit and 2 hits. Brett saves my crit. Then he spends a CP to re-roll, getting himself another save. However, here's where we kind of forget things, and I gotta make a note. I forgot this guy had a Vengeance class scope. So my crit and 2 hits is actually 3 crits. So realizing what we had done, Brett takes back his re-roll and gains his CP back. Brett's able to save 1 of my crits. He fails his 6-ups, and that model then dies. I score 1 point for Eliminate Guards, and then I just move him up onto the point.
Yeah, for a second there I thought I got really lucky and he would have somehow survived, but it is what it is. So next up for me, I'm going to be taking my agent. I'm going to be move dashing up onto this vantage point and shooting down into my assassinate target. This is going to be a standard splinter rifle, 4s on 3s with lethal 5, 2-4 damage. I get an okay roll here, just 2 crits. Nate is able to save 2 normals, meaning he's going to cancel out 1 of these crits, and then with his damage reduction from durable, this is going to go down to 3 damage, putting this intercessor down to 7.
Activating one of my warriors next, I decide to fall back and shoot Brett's leader. Hitting on 4s on 3s P1, I roll a crit and a hit, and with my reroll, I get another hit. Brett's able to save the crit, and he saves 3 more dice on a 6-up Feel No Pains, so he only takes 3 damage, putting his leader down to 6 wounds.
Since my leader had some really good luck with his defense rolls, I think I'm going to try to shoot into that same intercessor with his splinter pistol. So because he's my leader, this is going to be 4s on 2s lethal 5, 2-4 damage. Now on the initial roll, I get 3 hits and a miss. However, I decide to spend a CP on Prey on the Wounded. Since Nate's intercessor is at half health, this allows me to reroll any or all attack dice. I do decide to play a little risky and reroll one of my normal hits and the miss. And my leader likes to tease me here. I get a whole lot of 4s, no 5s, so this is just going to be 4 regular hits. Nate's going to be able to save 2 of these, and this is going to do a whopping 4 damage to his intercessor, bringing it down to 3 wounds. Finally, I decide to move dash my leader to what I hope is going to be a little bit better position for the next turning point.
Being the true Black Templar that my gunner is, and suffering not the alien to live, I dash him over slightly and shoot Brett's leader with a crack grenade. Despite shooting on injury, I'm able to roll an incredible 3 crits. Brett rolls and is able to save 1, but he fails all of his 6-up Feel No Pains, causing his leader to die.
Definitely pretty disappointing for me. Did not think that I was going to lose my leader here. I kind of forgot that intercessor was back there. But on the bright side, I guess this means I get an Overwatch. So I'm going to use my agent to shoot down into my assassinate target once again, now hitting on 4s with lethal 5. I managed to at least get a crit and a hit, and then Nate fully denies me here and saves it all.
Activating my next warrior, I decide to shoot up into Brett's agent. Now, he's shooting on injury, so 4s on 4s, but he gets a reroll. Unfortunately, my first shooting attack, I get all misses, and even with my rerolls, I completely get nothing. Deciding to try and, at least do some damage, I shoot him again, and this time I get 2 hits and 2 misses. But Brett is able to save both of them, so nothing really happens this turn. I kinda gotta balance out the insane luck I've been having for most of this game. So, having done nothing, I just decide to move him back behind the shipping container. Lastly, moving my sergeant over just a smidge, I shoot Brett's gunner with my flamer. Now, because I'm within 2 inches, he gets no cover. I am injured, so I'm shooting 5 dice on 3s, but despite this, I get 2 crits and a hit. And re-rolling, I get another crit, so in total, I get 3 crits and a hit. Brett saves the normal attack dice, and because it's a flamer, it only does 2, so Brett takes 6 damage. And on his Feel No Pains, he saves 1, so in total, he takes 5 damage. Having nothing else to do, my sergeant stares menacingly at Brett's gunner, eagerly awaiting turning point 4.
And that's going to mark the end of turning point 3. I'm going to have 1 primary, and Nate's going to score 4. He's also going to get his 2nd point from Shock and Awe as he's taken one of the points in my back line. Into the initiative roll, Nate rolls a 3, and I also roll a 3. Nate wins the tie here. Nate's initiative for the final turning point.
At the end of turning point 3, we see Intercession Squad continuing to ramp off of that model shortage on the Hand of the Archon side, scoring 4 VPs for primary. Hand of the Archon is only able to score 1. Secondary VPs, Intercession scores another 2, and loses 1 model, while Hand of the Archon loses half of their team again, down to 2 models out of 9. 2 CP on Intercession, 1 on Hand of the Archon, bringing the split to 13-7.
What?
Nothing. So, end of this third. Did I kill I killed something. It did. In the first activation. And then I wasn't really able to get anything else going. My leader, I was hoping we'd get an Overwatch, but he got just barely like a legal shot. And those things happen. But at one point, and
I am going to do my best. For what it's worth, with 2 guys, with one about to die. And then... That's it. I'll see you after.
And for the final turning point, neither Nate or I are going to use any strategic ploys, and no attack ops are going to be revealed. However, Nate is going to pick my gunner as his eliminate guard.
Moving into turning point 4, I pick up where I left off, and I activate my sergeant again, shooting the same guy with the flamer. After rolling all my dice, I get 3 hits, and Brett saves all of it. Having done no damage in the shooting attack, I charge and fight Brett's gunner. And after rolling my attack dice, I get a whopping 3 crits. Brett's able to roll a crit and a hit, but using my first crit, I hit him for 6, and after his feel no pains, he saves nothing, so he dies, scoring me another point for eliminate guards.
Alright, so no surprise I lost my gunner there. Unfortunate, but that's okay. The agent is going to carry the rest of this game. So we're going to shoot down into my assassinate target, who has been weakened by the torment grenade. He's down to 5 wounds. Surely we can get this kill and get our 2 points. On the initial shot here, I actually get a pretty decent start. 2 crits and a hit. However, I'm going to choose to spend a CP on Prey on the Wounded once again, and I'm going to re-roll both the normal hit and the miss. And amazingly enough, we've got 4 crits. Now Nate is going to be able to save one of these, however, not going to matter. Even with durable, that's going to be enough damage to take him out. After getting the kill, I'm going to spend one of the pain tokens that I just got to perform a dash action, and then I'm going to move off of the vantage point into a position where I'm on the point, and I'm set up for an overwatch into Nate's sergeant.
Next up, I activate my gunner, who, after watching his brother die to Brett's agent, decides to move over and shoot him with a crack grenade. Hitting on 4s because of injury, I retain a crit and a hit, and deciding to spend a CP here, I reroll into another hit. Taking 1 for cover, Brett rolls a crit, so only 1 of my damage dice goes through, and after a 6-up feel no pains, he takes 3 damage. Still wanting vengeance for his brother, my gunner shoots Brett's agent again. After rolling all my dice, I get 2 crits and a hit. Brett takes 1 for cover and rolls another save, but deciding he's going to push his luck a little bit, he spends his pain token to try and roll again. Hoping for a crit, Brett is only able to get another save. With 7 damage going through, Brett takes his time rolling each of his 6-up feel no pains. However, in the end, he's able to save just enough, leaving his agent with 2 health remaining.
Although it's a little bit late in the game, obviously my dice luck has changed since my agent is still standing. So we're going to use this Overwatch action to try and capitalize on Headhunter at the very end of the game. Now, injured Overwatch here, I am hitting on 5s, but with Lethal 5, everything is a crit. And there we go. That's the roll I kind of expected. I have no way to reroll anything here, so I'm just not scoring Headhunter in this game.
As my gunner was unable to finish him off, my warrior move dashes over and decides to shoot his agent. For this attack, I'm shooting 4s on 4s with P1. I get a crit and a hit. Brett takes 1 for cover and rolls another regular save. So only 3 damage goes through. Unfortunately, Brett is unable to save any of his 6-up feel no pains, and unfortunately, his last model dies. To finish the game, I activate my last warrior, move dashing him onto Brett's final point, taking it for himself.
That will wrap up our game, everybody. Intercession squad scored 14 primary VPs to half of what Archon was able to score with 7, maxing on secondary VPs with 6, while Hand of the Archon was able to score 2 in the final turning point. Intercession did lose another model, down to 4 out of 6, while Head of the Archon was board wiped, bringing our total for the game to 20-9.
Hey, welcome to the post-game discussion. I'm Brett.
Nate?
And we're going to talk a little bit about that
game.
Yeah,
if
it
you
was.
will.
It was a slaughterhouse.
I believe I know somebody who would say if it's more than a 3-point difference, it wasn't even a game. And
I've heard that.
I believe it was 20 to 11. You'll know. And
Yep, it was a little bit more than 3.
there's a
Tiny
little bit
bit.
of a difference.
Mhm.
And it was 20 to 9, evidently. So, how'd you feel?
Overall, at the beginning, after turning point 1 going into turning point 2, I was actually very nervous. Brett, after we'd done a practice game on Tabletop Simulator, and I know this team, once they get going, once they build momentum, especially kills, once they start getting more, what tokens are they?
Pain tokens.
Once they get more pain tokens, it's like an avalanche, it snowballs. And the way Brett had himself positioned, he had 2 here, a guy up there, which he was going to bait shots anyway. But he had his guys moved up perfectly, mostly behind heavy. There wasn't going to be a whole lot I could do. I was very nervous going into that. After turning point 2, going into turning point 3, I was blown away. And it just came down to the dice, man. That was so rough.
It's pretty rough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I hate to say that it just comes down to this. Because, like,
Sometimes.
truly, you did play really well.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, like...
And you made the
sometimes it
best
does
of every
happen.
situation. You did everything to its maximum, I feel. You did really good kind of reacting to what had happened, but there were just so many bad rolls for you, Brett. It was really rough.
It was pretty rough.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, though, that at least first turning point, I felt pretty good, like you said. Because, like, I felt... I didn't let you have any shots.
Which
I
was
had used
great,
the
'cause
super
that was-
conceal ploy
Mhm.
because I didn't want you to, like, move up on
I
advantage.
completely forgot that was the thing.
Most
So
people do. Most people, because most people don't really. It's a first turning point ploy.
only,
really,
usually.
and
Mhm.
then that's like it. You don't ever use it again. So, I was happy that I used it to kind of reinforce my deployment. That was good. But then also, you didn't give me any opportunity to switch anybody who was like really going to do any big damage at the first turning point.
And
which
that was
is to be
kind of my
expected.
plan, is because, like, as I'd said, so in the beginning of, like, my first turning point talk where we were going into it, I said, if I can get a kill, that's great, but I just want to make sure nobody dies. So being very cagey and playing within... Now, you did get your... What grenades were they? The pain grenades.
Oh, the torment grenade.
You
Yeah.
actually got quite a few of those off.
So yeah, I got 2 off, which I mean, typically people target that, which is understandable because torment grenade is pretty annoying. First one, great success.
Yeah, and I was...
Got 2 guys.
I completely forgot about that. And then with the grenade over here, the plasma
The
grenade...
plasma grenade did a little bit. Did like
so
6
sitting
wounds
from
total,
exactly
but-
sitting from where I was, I just kind of really see Brett's token. So I'm like, oh, I wonder where that grenade went. Brett runs up, chucks it. I'm like, okay, well, there's some chip damage.
Wasn't worth it.
No, unfortunately, it was not. He overextended, and at that point, they just got decimated.
Yeah. I know. So yeah, with the torment grenade, going into an elite team, it hits a little bit higher, so you have to get on a 3-up. It's as opposed to a 2 on a team that would save on a 4 or higher. Personally, I don't think that's a big deal. I think that's still a great chance. And to injure a Marine
Exactly.
or something,
The fact
I'm all
that they
for it.
can no longer, that they stay injured for this game is really, really useful.
Yeah. And the chip wounds, the chip mortals that go from each
Any
turning
chip
point,
damage that's free
good.
is always great. So
Right.
yeah.
I wish the second one would have actually done something.
I was
Because that would have helped a lot.
genuinely just perplexed. Like, Brett had thrown it, I'm like, oh, okay, well, they're just going to start taking chip damage. And then what did you roll? It was
I
like
rolled like a 2, and I think I rolled a 2 and a 1 or something.
probably
Because
something
they were
like
both
that.
on 3s, and neither one got it.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
So, it happens. And then you, of course, took her out, and that makes sense. And it's just like, there were a lot of shooting attacks, which, I could foresee coming, but there were just not defense dice to help with it.
Unfortunately. And
So-
it's the vast amount. That's the thing Intercession does well, is they just shoot and shoot or fight and fight.
Shoot, and then rerolls too. The one reroll, the Doctrine, helps a
The
lot.
Doctrine was incredible. It worked really well during this.
I would say your ploys, your tac ops, were
Yes.
far more effective than mine were.
I had taken, like, I'd scrawled notes and got them already after our tabletop simulator game. So I kind of, let's take a look. What was this one again?
Contemptuous Slaughter.
That one?
Probably shouldn't have taken that.
To be fair, though, it would have been pretty good. Like, had you been able to get a kill, especially turning point 1,
If turning point 1 would have gone differently, and I would have had a shot with my gunner,
it could have been
could have
good.
gotten a kill. That would have changed the game drastically.
100%.
But, yeah, I think as far as faction tac ups go, I don't know if Hand of the Archon really have any that are great into elites. Like,
And that's the
Not great.
thing. Intercession has great into horde and kind of middling teams like this, where what was mine called again?
Shock and awe.
Shock and awe. Shock and awe is so easy to get, especially with intercessors. And like I had my assault, my grenadier, and my sergeant just moving as a line through the points. It worked out really,
Cutting
really
through
well.
my guys like butter.
Yeah,
It doesn't
exactly.
Matter.
Mhm.
But you know what?
Mhm.
They put up a decent fight.
Yeah.
The end of it came down to just my little agent.
It
trying
was.
to
It was just
survive.
the agent, and it was me doing everything
But-
in my power to just try and kill it. And Brett, would he just survived by the skin of his teeth? And I'm like, I'm going to get that down. It took 3 Marines to take him down, but
Did
it happened.
The end it got tabled.
Mhm.
But I mean, going back, if I could, well, I mean, for redeployment,
back time.
yeah, like a long time ago.
to the beginning of the game,
to deployment, I would. I don't know. I could, like, if I would have swapped my gunners
yeah,
around.
Blaine had made that point.
Probably,
watching.
yeah. Blaine had made that point, and I think that probably would have been a better play,
Mm-hmm.
simply because of the fact that I could have got my normal gunner up on a vantage point
Mm-hmm.
to threaten right away, and if I would have swapped him,
Mm-hmm.
my heavy gunner, he wouldn't really have needed to. He would have already been set up like where
It
I
would have worked
put
out
my
pretty
gunner.
well.
I could have just kept in there at that point.
He wouldn't have need to move behind the fence, to be honest.
It's one of those things where I think
and contemptuous
in my
slaughter
head-
would have worked really well.
Yeah, in my head though, I had like a plan going into it,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, you can't foresee everything. So it's like I placed him, and I was pretty happy with it at the time. I just wanted him there to threaten the heavy gun,
And it
the
was
second
very,
turning point.
very much a threat.
I mean, yeah, I think you took him out first.
It was
right?
my first activation turning point too, but it was like, I need to take him out, or that Dark Lance is going to do some serious damage against the Marines.
So it's like, I feel like you did like an okay job. It just like nothing else really fell into place.
There wasn't a whole lot of synergy, unfortunately, and it always sucks to say it, but in a game of chance, you can only have so much strategy, and unfortunately, just the dice weren't on your side, man.
I would like to say, whoever requested this matchup, I apologize. I wish I could have done a little bit. Normally, I'm pretty confident with Hand of the Archon going into elites, but like,
It just didn't work out today.
didn't
That's
work
the will
out.
of it is.
So hopefully, maybe we can get another game in the future at some point with them versus whether this or something else. But you know,
And
hopefully
another
be a little
point
bit
is,
better.
like, if you guys have suggestions, please leave them in the comments.
Yes, let us know.
We're working on getting these videos out a little bit faster, so please, we have all but one team right now, which maybe at some point we'll get that too. So send us your requests. We'll work on getting them out for you guys. It was a lot of fun. To be fair, it was a fun game. Hannah Archon
was
is
fun.
a fun team to play against. They have so many tricks and abilities that it's kind of like Phobos, where it's like they just have so much, and you're like, whoa, okay, I gotta recover from what you just did, and it can be like that at times.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, with that, I guess
Yeah.
if you like what you saw here, you know, let us know what you think down in the comments. Otherwise,
Like and subscribe.
like and subscribe, share with
with
your
your
friends. Yeah, we're gonna do our best here to get this stuff out to you guys as soon as we can. So, thanks for watching. We really appreciate it.
Thanks.